linear regression and multiple linear regression in last class, and we are on this one. Yes, GLM. Now GLM stands for what? GLM stands for general linear model. Now, what is that? It is basically a group of statistics that are taking linearity between two set of measurement. And if we're talking about two set of measurement, what it means, the first one will be the independent variables and second one will be the dependent variable. We are trying to find out that is there any correlation between a set of variable which comes under independent and the independent variables. So in SPSS, to run the process for running simple linear regression and multiple linear regression is the same, but the variables which we are going to add either on the independent side or either on the dependent side, that varies. That means number of variable we are going to increase. So for GLM, what we need, GLM can be applied to the variable which is numerical. That means dependent variable in most of the cases or in maximum cases, the dependent variable what we require, it should be the numeric in terms of numbers, whereas the independent variable can be numeric or can be categorical. And category, we are not limited that we only require a two category or we require three or four. It can be n number of the categories, and we can take a set of numeric. For example, I want to run a linear regression, so in that we will have a dependent variable which will be given in terms of only and only that will be the number, and independent variable will be either I can take numeric or either I can take a category or I can take a uh, set of both numeric and category you can take. But whenever we are running a linear regression and we are adding a more than two independent variable, so one variable will actually act as a independent variable and the second one will act as a factor. So now what the meaning of factor? For example, we want to find out the relationship of HbA1c. I'm just writing an example that we want to find out a relationship of HbA1c with systolic blood pressure. So this will be called independent variable. Systolic blood pressure will be called dependent variable. But in the independent variable, systolic blood pressure, I will add one more factor called gender, that we want to see male separately and female separately, that either the HbA1c of the male, it is going to affect the systolic blood pressure or not, or the HbA1c of the female is going to affect the systolic blood pressure or not. So HbA1c will be in terms of number, and whereas the gender will be given in terms of category. So both kind of variable we can run in the general linear model. So what the assumption says, the assumptions of GLM will be numeric variable should be always dependent. Clear? And it can be categorical, or we used to call as a mixed type. Mixed mean we have a numerical as well as the categorical independent variable. So whenever we have a dependent variable in terms of number, obviously we have to look for the normality. Okay, either the data is normal or the not normal. So here GLM will be applied mainly for those data which are found to be normally distributed. That means if we have got a bell-shaped curve for the dependent variable, then only we are eligible for the GLM. Otherwise, for any type of skewed data, we are not running the GLM. Either it is your positive skewness or it is your negative skewness, we will not run the GLM. This chart I have shown you yesterday, that what was the decision rule by which mean we can find out that which is the best suited test for a research. For example, these are independent variable in this column and we have a dependent variable. Now you can see that we have a only single independent variable which is given in terms of category. For example, we have a gender, that we want to find out the relationship of gender with systolic blood pressure, which is given in terms of numeric variable. So when one variable we have, then we can go to the test called one way ANOVA. But I cannot take gender here because gender is having only two categories. So test will be the independent. We require at least more than two category. It should be at least three. Then only we are eligible for one way ANOVA. This we have already done. If independent variable is multiple, that means two independent variable we are taking. For example, we are taking a literacy rate of the patient, we are taking a gender of the patient, or we are taking a education level of the patient. That means three uh, independent variable we want to run, and we want to see the effect of on same variable called systolic blood pressure. So what we are trying to find out, we are comparing the education level, gender, and the literacy status of the patient with systolic blood pressure. This side we have a single numeric. So test will be called again ANOVA. If we have two options, for example single or the multiple numeric, but dependent variable now has been increased, we want to include a diastolic blood pressure also. That means systolic we have already in our set, and we will add the diastolic. So what will happen now, this side we have a two numeric, and this side we can have either single or the multiple numeric variable. Then the test will be called MANOVA. And as I told you that the number of variable is going to increase in the set, test will be become more advanced. So if I want to give a ranking that which test is more advanced as compared to other one, so ranking order I have written at the bottom, that rank 1 I'm going to give you ANOVA, and rank 2 I'm going to give you to ANCOVA, because here I have added a C. This C I have added, that I'm running a ANOVA, but instead of looking the differences in variance, we want to find out the covariance. Rank 3 will be given to MANOVA, and rank 4 will be given to MANCOVA. So difference between MANOVA and MANCOVA, you can see that what's the difference. Difference is the only C, this one. I have added a C here. The test will be called MANCOVA. So MANCOVA stands for what? That is multiple analysis of covariance. MANOVA stands for multiple analysis of variance. ANOVA stands for analysis of variance, and ANCOVA stands for analysis of covariance. So name I have mentioned here, and you can see that what the difference between these tests. More you can find out that if you have a little bit confusion here, it will be cleared when we will take the example of each particular test. So it will be clear to you. So without wasting our time on this particular chart, we'll proceed further so that you are able to understand in the further test which we are going to apply. Now you can see, as I have promised you yesterday, that we will run the, now this is not the linear regression. I want to say it is a multiple linear regression through GLM. That means we want to run the linear regression with the help of GLM. So what I can do, you can see that a study to determine factor affecting systolic blood pressure. That means we want to find out that what are those factors which are affecting the systolic blood pressure of the patient. We want to study that what are the those factors which are affecting the systolic blood pressure of the patient by taking a data of 75 adults. So N for the study become 75. Now factor will be what? As I have given a little bit of introduction about the factor yesterday, then one factor I'm taking as a age. So age will be called as a numeric variable in our study, whereas I'm including two categorical variable also. So total independent variable in our study will be 3. Total independent variable in our study will be 3, which are used to find out that either those variables are affecting systolic blood pressure of the patient or not. So what are those independent variable? One, as I have already discussed, that one is the age, and age is a numeric variable. But two, we are including more, but these two are category. What are those? The first one is the physical activity, which is categorized into three category: low, moderate, and high. And second one is the calorie intake, that how much calorie the patient is taking. Now this is divided into two parts or two different codes. Code 0 belongs to the recommended dietary allowance, RDA. That means whatever the diet plan physician have given to the patient is taking according to that. Or if patient is consuming extra calorie, so we used to call that above RDA. So within RDA or above RDA is the two different category which designate to the calorie intake. So now three variables we have on independent. One is the age, second one is the calorie intake, and third one is the physical activity. All three variable together, which is given in terms of category also, and which is given in terms of numeric variable. Now we have a set of both. We have numeric variable as independent, and we have a categorical variable as independent, which we are comparing with the numeric variable as a dependent. So whenever we are running a GLM, one thing which you have to remember, that dependent variable will be always numeric. It will be always numerics. Like we have taken a systolic blood pressure, reading of systolic blood pressure. So if I'll say that instead of systolic, if I'll add one more variable, so that test will be called ANCOVA. At present it is a GLM. So what are the steps in SPSS? In GLM we'll have a multiple option like univariate. Now univariate I'm going to apply because I have only one independent variable. When there are more than one independent variable, then you can go to the advanced test called bivariate under the GLM. So we'll click on GLM, and under the GLM we are going to find an option called univariate. So click on analyze, then go to general linear model, then click to univariate. So we'll show in the picture that it will be easy for you to understand instead of reading all those lines. You can see that I have gone to analyze, and under the analyze I have a command for general linear model, GLM. And under the GLM we'll click on the univariate. Clear. Now new version of SPSS, which is more than 26, that is writing a bivariate instead of this multivariate. This is the older version, so it has written the multivariate, but multivariate and bivariate is the somehow similar. So we'll click on this univariate, and we have got the window for the univariate. Now this side you can see that name of independent variable is not written. So independent variable will be considered as a fixed factor. So dependent variable, we know that systolic blood pressure of the patient, which is given in terms of scale. That icon, you can see the icon of systolic blood pressure is like this. That with this icon you can identify the data of systolic blood pressure which you have entered in the software in terms of numbers, numerical data. So systolic blood pressure you take this side on the dependent variable box, and calorie intake and physical activity you will take as a fixed factor here. So you can see that I have already moved the both variable, that is the systolic blood pressure on the top, and calorie intake and physical activity in the fixed factor. Clear. So once you will move the variable, I have not taken the age now at present for the linear regression. If we want, we have to add this age as a covariate. For example, if we want to run age together, then we can add the age as a covariate here. But still, for this particular test, I have not added. I'll show you in the live example when we'll do the demonstration. Then what was the difference? That one more column we are going to get in the result where the data of age has been mentioned. So once you will move the variable from text box to the designated sites, you have to click on the model. This is the model where you are going to customize. Now what it means, customizing a model means that you want to see the effect of calorie intake and physical activity together, or you want to give a priority to one of these variable. That means you want to keep physical activity as a main independent variable, and you don't want to give that much priority to the calorie intake, for example, like this. So if you want to take, you want to give the, for example, I want to say ranking, that out of these two variable you have to give the rank, that which variable is more important in your project. So according to that, you can say that physical activity is more important as compared to calorie intake. But here you want to keep both as a equivalent. So what you can do, both you can add into model. And if you want to give the priority to physical activity, then you can move only physical activity to the model. So which is more important in your study, that will be added to the model. But in most of the cases, what we used to do, we used to keep both variable, and we will consider both as a equivalent, that calorie intake as well as the physical activity both are equivalent in my study. So both will be added into the model, and this step is based upon the researcher's own hypothesis, that how you want to proceed. And once you will move the variable into the this model box, what you have to do, you have to change the build item, and it should be the main effect. From this interaction word, you have to change this interaction word, and you have to change into a main effect. So you can see that first I have changed the build item from interaction to main effect. Then I will move both the variable from this side to this side, from here to here, and already both variable has been added into the model. And build item type, from interaction it has been changed to main effect. Now you can see, once you will do, you will customize the model, that you want to see the effect of physical activity as well as the calorie intake both together. Then you can go to the option. Now what we have in the option, here you can choose that what table you require, that you want to see the mean of systolic blood pressure, including all the category of calorie intake and all the category of physical activity. Because calorie intake we have a two codes, 0 and 1, whereas in physical activity we have a three category, for example 0, 1 and 2. So what we'll do, we will click on the descriptive statistics, we'll click on the observed power, we'll click on the homogeneity test. We want to find out that equality was maintained or not. So that will be given by this checkbox called homogeneity test. So what are the required thing, which is minimum requirement to run the GLM, that has been shown in this slide, that where you have to click on the homogeneity. This is important. You need the descriptive statistics of everything. So this slide, this table is also important. Estimate of effect size is the important table, observed power is the important table, and parameter estimate is the important table. So on these five sites you are going to click. For example, you want to see the plots, then you can click on this, that I want to see the plots also. And wherever you are going to click, those table will be shown in the output sheet of SPSS. And you can see that confidence interval of the study is 95%, and cutoff point of the study is 0.05. For example, if you're taking 96, then here you can change, and you can change according to your study, that significance level you want to keep as what. So once you will choose the options which will be displayed on the output sheet, you can click continue. and you're going to get the results of the linear regression through GLM. Now, see, this is the first table called between subject factors. You have clicked on the descriptive statistics. That's why these two uh, table has been made by the software. Now, first table is representing what? First table is representing that what was the code given by you. Because whenever, for example, I want to run drugs, that which, for example, I want to compare the antihypertensive drug, and I have more than 15 categories or more than 20 categories to compare against the systolic blood pressure. So it is very difficult for you to remember that which drug has been given what code. So the first table which will be represented by the software will be the coding table. So that, because the further result which you are going to find, for example, here these are the results, it will be shown in terms of codes which you have entered in the SPSS. For example, to calorie intake 0, it was below RDA. 1 was above RDA. Physical activity 0 means low physical activity, 1 means moderate, and 2 means high. So value level was not mentioned whenever we are going to predict the results here in this table in parameter estimates. So what the software will do, the first table which we are going to get is for the table, because here we have only 3 codes under physical activity and only 2 codes under calorie intake. But it is possible whenever you are going to apply the GLM in your research work, you will have more than 15 or more than 18 categories. So very difficult to remember. So what we used to do, we'll refer the code. So you don't have to go back to your sheets to find out that code 7 belongs to what or code 9 belongs to what. So directly you can refer this particular table, and you can find out that which code belongs to what or it refers to what. So as you can see, along with these codes, what we are getting a n. Total n for the study is 75, and you can see that sum of these two is 75 and sum of these three is again 75. Now, how many patient who were taking below RDA, that is the diet below RDA, that is 35, and how many patients was there who are taking calorie intake above RDA? It was found 40. So 40 plus 35 equivalent to 75, total number of the participants. And you can see that out of 75, how many patients were doing low physical activity, how many were doing moderate, and how many were doing high physical activity. So highest, you can see, highest physical activity we are finding the participant low. That means most of the patients are doing a low physical activity, and most of the patients are taking a diet above the recommended diet by the physician. So once you have got this, you can come to the lower table. Now you can see how to read this table. Data of what? Data of systolic blood pressure we have got in this table. That means the mean which is given and the standard deviation which is given, it is representing to systolic blood pressure. It is not the data of calorie intake and data of physical activity. The mean which we have got here is the mean of systolic blood pressure. Now you can see both variable has been added, calorie intake and physical activity. Calorie intake is having two category. This is one and this is second. And physical activity is having three category. These are three: low, moderate, high, and low, moderate, high. So here we have not got the post hoc table. We have just got the mean and the SD of each group. For example, A is compared with B. For example, we have a table like this, what the situation of the table is something like this, that we have a and B, and we have a 1, 2 and 3. So first A is compared with A1, then A is compared with B2, and A is compared with 3. Then again B is compared with 1, B is compared with 2, and B is compared with 3. Like this table we have got. That first comparison of A with 1 to 3, then comparison of B with 1 to 3. Like this we have got here. You can see that below RDA is compared with all the three category of physical activity: low, moderate and high. This total we are not going to see. So most of the students, when they were trying to find out that what was the maximum mean systolic blood pressure, so they used to refer this particular column, and they will find that okay, total is the highest value, and they used to quote in their thesis. So first thing what you have to do, you have to ignore the totals, ignore this total, ignore this total, and ignore all the total. Now value which you have to find out, which you have to refer, is the six values, because the table is 3 into 2, so we have total six values. What are those six? These are this one, first, second and third, then this one and this one, which is representing to low, moderate and high. Low, moderate and high. So out of these six value, you have to find out that which one is the maximum and which one is the minimum, that you can quote in your thesis. That minimum systolic blood pressure found under physical activity having which group, and calorie intake having which group. How you can find? We can see that where we have got the lowest number or highest number. 113, 112. I think this is 112 is the lowest. Yes. So lowest value we have got this one, and highest value we have got 149. So we can see that if person are doing high physical activity and they are taking a diet below RDA, their systolic blood pressure will be 112.15. That means lowest range. If any person, those who are doing a low physical activity and taking a diet which is recommended by the physician above that, above RDA, so their blood pressure or systolic blood pressure will be highest, that is 149. So you can find out here that what we are finding that high physical activity decreases the systolic blood pressure of the patient, and if you're doing the low physical activity, the systolic blood pressure of the patient is going to rise. So from here, what we are going to take, we are going to take the mean, we are going to code the SD, and we are going to code the N. Whenever we are discussing about this 112, so we have to write the standard deviation was found to be 18.65, and total number of the patient is 13, and only 19 patients are there whose mean systolic blood pressure was found to be 149.26, and standard deviation is 19.06, and they do low physical activity but taking a calorie intake on higher side. So descriptive statistics describe the mean and SD of both physical activity as well as the calorie intake. And this is the first table, this is the second table, and this is the third table. Now third table is what? You have clicked on the this test for homogeneity. If you not click this on this one, this checkbox, you are not going to get this table, test for Leibniz. As you might be, you remember that on third or fourth class we have conducted a test called test for independence. sorry, independent t-test. Yes, independent t-test. There we have got a test called test for Leibniz for equality of variance. So this test represents what? That either all these six category have the sufficient numbers of patient or not. If this test is more than 0.05, then we used to say the test is significant. So what we require, this p value should be more than 0.05. This should be more than 0.05 for the result to be significant. And we can find we have got here 0.55, which is more than 0.05. So we can prove that uh, equal variance has been observed between all the six groups. Now, in which case we'll get this p-value less than 0.05. For example, if one of the group is having very low number, for example, instead of 18, I'm getting only 2, then we can say that data is not sufficient to compare because the number of the patient under the high physical activity is very less. So when number are sufficient to compare, might be there will be difference in the number. For example, in one group you'll find, for example, here you can see that in case of calorie intake, only two group was there. So chances for the patient to fall under code 0 and code 1 was 50-50%. So in one we have got 35 and in one we got 40. The difference of only 5 patients are there, so not that much. If difference is too much, for example, in one patient we have got 5 and in one we have got 65, then this p value will be less than 0.05, and we can assume that equality was not maintained between the group. So test of Leibniz are not found significant, which means we cannot go further. We cannot read further result. We have to stop here only. That we cannot apply the GNM until unless this test for Leibniz does not found significant. So for that, what we have to do, we have to increase the number of sample in our study until unless will not get this test for Leibniz significant more than 0.05. So this was the table number 3, and this is the main table of the GLM called test for between subject effect. Now, table number 4, what we have got? Dependent variable is systolic blood pressure. Data is given in mmHg. Few things you have to remember. Whatever the results you are going to find in the test for between subject effect, you have to write like a F because you have got F here. So writing style for this results test of between subject effect will be like ANOVA because you have got a F value, you have got a degree of freedom, you have got a mean scare, you have got a SS sum of scared. Clear? Now from this table, what we have to refer for the research point of view, we have to see the significant value, and we have to identify that where are our two independent variable. So these are our two independent variable. The software is going to do little bit modification. It will going to decrease the name of your variable because I have written whole calorie intake. Full term was written calorie intake and physical activity while making the sheet, but software has reduced the number of characters to only calorie and to physical activity PHYS. Clear? So these are two variable which we have to identify. That corrected model we are not going to refer, intercept we are not going to refer. So what we have to see? We have to see these these two rows where our variables are located. Clear? And Under these row, we have to identify the significant value, that what value we have got. Standard is less than 0.05, and you can find here one value we have found less than 0.05, and second one is also less than 0.05. But by seeing these two p-value, you can decide that out of two independent variable which we have run in the test, which one is affecting more to systolic blood pressure. What was the aim of this test? The aim of the test was to find out the factor which are affecting the systolic blood pressure. Okay, so by seeing this p value, we can identify that either calorie intake is affecting or not, or physical activity is affecting or not. So if this significant value is less than 0.05, which shows that yes, this variable is affecting the systolic blood pressure. So hence we have proved here that calorie intake affecting the systolic blood pressure, as well as physical activity is also affecting. But if someone will ask me that out of these two variables, calorie and physical activity, which one is affecting more? So I have the answer. I can say that calorie is affecting more as compared to physical activity. Now, why I have chosen the calorie? Why not physical activity? The variable which is having the lower p value, that will be considered as affecting more. For example, one value we have got 0.04 and another one is 0.27. So this 0.04 is less than this 0.27. So we can say that calorie intake will affect more as compared to physical activity. But both are affecting the systolic blood pressure. So from this table, we can decide that both calorie intake, which is the diet, and physical activity was found significantly influencing the systolic blood pressure, and p value of both was found to be less than 0.05. Now, for research point of view, what we have to do, I will show that how much data you have to take into your thesis. First, delete all last three columns. Take this much of table in your thesis. And this part will be taken for the into a thesis. And if you are writing a research paper, then we will quote only these two values. Writing style will be ANOVA, and we are going to write only the results of these which I have mentioned in the red. Table number 4. Last table for the linear regression using GLM is the parameter estimate. Now you can see that name of the table is parameter estimate, and name of the table in the last slide was test of between subject effect. Now why software has generated this table? Because we have chosen here. If you forget to click estimate of size effect, you are not going to get the results. If you are not able to click on the descriptive statistics, you are not going to get a table 1 and 2. If you not click on this homogeneity test, you are not going to get a table number 3. So this table number 5 we have got because we have clicked on the parameter estimates. So we'll see that what we have in parameter estimates now here. This is also very important table. This will let you know that, for example, I am the patient and I am doing a low physical activity. And from the low, if I switch to moderate, then how much my blood pressure is going to fall. And if I'm doing low and I will switch to high physical activity, then how much my systolic blood pressure is going to decrease. This we can find out with the parameter estimate table. Now, what we are doing, we are comparing our each group. Now we are not comparing, for example, anything with the physical activity with the calorie intake. We are not comparing these two. We are comparing that. Let me take the pen and delete. We are comparing that if I am doing a low physical activity. So if I change from low to moderate, then how much systolic blood pressure is going to decrease. And if I switch to from low to high, then how much systolic blood pressure is going to reduce. This we are trying to find out by the parameter estimate table. So this table, how much data we have to take into our thesis, I'll let you know. After the 95 confidence interval, we don't require anything. We are bothered to this data which I have kept in the box. That means we require the data of beta, we require standard error, we require the value of t, and we require the significant value. Remaining we don't want. And how to read the results of this table, I'll let you know. You can see that calorie were having a two category. Whenever we have customized our test, two variables was there independent. One was calorie and one was physical activity. And under the calorie, we have a two groups, and under the physical activity, we are having a three groups. So when we used to call that we are comparing, so obviously we need a standard for comparison. If I want to compare anything, I need a data, by which mean I can compare. So each category, last category of independent variable will be considered as a standard. For example, we have a two category under calorie intake. So data of last category is 1, that this is the last category above RDA. This will act as a standard. And if we are comparing a physical activity, and in physical activity we have a three groups: low, moderate, and high. So high will be considered as standard. High will be considered as a standard. So you can see on the parameter estimate table that we are not going to get a data of high. That this code 2 refers to high. So we have not got the data. This is blank. And here also two category was there under calorie, and the last category was 1. So this category we have not received the data. This is blank. So last category will be acting as a what? Standard. So how to compare? Now you can see this significant value we have to refer, and we have to find out that out of which is less than 0.05. So we can see that this intercept will not see. This value was found less than 0.05. It is okay. This value is less than 0.05. This is also okay. But this value is more than 0.05. It means what? It means here I am doing a high physical activity. Here I am doing moderate. And here I am doing low. This is above RDA. And this is below RDA, recommended diet. Clear? Now you can see here, you have to refer the value of beta. By seeing the value of beta, you can find out that if I'm going to switch from one category to another category, how much it is going to affect the systolic blood pressure. Now it is saying that if I'm doing a high physical activity, and instead of high, if I'll go to moderate, then my blood pressure is going to increase how much? 6.3 mmHg. Clear? I am doing a high physical activity. If I will stop high physical activity, okay, if someone will say me that physical activity is not going to affect your systolic blood pressure, I'll say, okay, I will reduce my number of hour in a week. Instead of 30, I'll do 20. So by doing 20, the blood pressure is going to rise. Now, why I have said rise? Because this 6.36 I have got in plus. I didn't get the minus value. So I'll say, okay, it is going to increase the blood pressure. If I'll stop high physical activity and I will switch to low, then how much blood pressure is going to rise? My blood pressure is going to rise 18.42 mmHg. Clear? On the same time, if I am taking a high calorie diet and I will change to diet which is recommended by the physician, how much my blood pressure is going to affect? My blood pressure is going to reduce because I have got a value in minus. It is going to reduce minus 16.00 mmHg. So this beta value is very important whenever you are going to write the research paper. The actual result you are going to get in this table called parameter estimate. For example, if a person are you are giving a beta blocker, for example, you are comparing a antihypertensive drug. So here you are going to find the difference, that if you are giving a beta blocker, for example, this is beta blocker, this is calcium channel blocker, this is your diuretics. So if you stop diuretics and you will give calcium channel blocker, blood pressure is going to rise this much. And if instead of diuretics you will give beta blocker, then again blood pressure is going to rise how much? This much. And for example, you are comparing two drugs, one is your beta blocker and second is your calcium channel blocker, or second is your diuretics, for example. So by giving the diuretics will act as a standard. If you switch to beta blocker, how much blood pressure is going to decrease? It is going to decrease 16 mmHg. So this icon which you are getting either in plus or minus, that will help you to find out that what we have to write, either the blood pressure is increasing or blood pressure is decreasing. So the same result has been mentioned, that taking below the recommended diet allowance result in lower blood pressure suggested by beta of minus 16.02, while low physical activity increases systolic blood pressure by 18 mmHg, this one, and moderate physical activity increases more than 6 mmHg compared to high. So what you are doing, you are comparing within the each category which you have under one independent variable. Very important table for research point of view. So this was your linear regression using GLM, and writing style of this table will be the same which we have shown. I have shown you in the ANOVA, like we used to write ANOVA results on the same way we have to write. I'll just let you know that we have to write the F first, then we have to write degree of freedom, first value, comma, degree of freedom, second value, bracket close. Then you are going to write the F score, you are going to write here, F score you are going to write, comma, then you are going to write the P value. This is the writing style. And how to write the results of this beta, that I'm going to show you in my thesis, where I have applied the test. So Next test will be the ANOVA and ANCOVA. So this will take in tomorrow's session. I'll show you in the thesis that how to write the result of linear regression, or ANCOVA, where we have discussed about the beta, that how to write the results of beta. So for that I have to stop my presentation. Just allow me to stop this. I'll stop my presentation and I'll share my whole screen so that it will be visible. Yes. Look at the document. Yeah, we can find in other publications also. I've not kept here anything. Wait. Okay, not this one. Not this a blank format. Just let me find out. Yes, we have. It's opening. Stay tuned. There is some error. See, if you're going to switch from one version to another version, for example, I was using MS Office 2007, and if you switch to 2013 or 16, you're going to get distort your graphs and all. Yeah, one in the last class, I will let you know that how to make these tables. That table which is given on the top. For example, this is the list of content of the thesis, and if I'll click on any document, for example, I want to go to this history and definition of background of drug research. Directly I'm going to come to that part. So what I did, I have added the hyperlinks. So this all this table were list of content, list of figure, list of abbreviations will be made by the software itself. That means I have not made these list which you're finding. That list of content I have not made. This MS Office, I have just I was writing the thesis, and these were numbering which I have given in each chapter. So once I have finished with the writing part and I was ready to bind my thesis, so that day what I did, I have just generated the this called list of content, list of table, that you are going to find under this option called references. So here in Word we have this option called automatic table of content, and if you have followed the method of this, then you don't have to make, or you don't have to count that which content belongs to what page number, and everything will be made by the MS Office itself only. So you can see that how it was made in 3 different lines. As you can see that chapter number 5 is the result, 5.1 is the demographic profile of the patient. Now what is the writing style? Writing style of result chapter 5 is all caps, and when I have written anything on 2 digits, 5.1, so this will be called sentence case. Sentence case, so means what? That D of demographic, P of profile, and P of the patient will be capital, in capital letter. And once you will switch to 3 digits, and this will be italic. And once you will move to three digits, then it will be called as title case. That age of A will be kept, remaining all will be small. So this you have to follow for the whole thesis. And once you will reach to four digits, I have not, I have the content in five digits also, but while making the table of content, I have taken only three digits. The software is give option to you that table of content which you want to make for your thesis, you want to keep a three digit here or four digit. According to that, software is going to make the table for you. And you can see that this is the list of content made by the software itself, that whatever the topics I have entered, for example, discussion chapter, I have only 8 topics. That discussion of demographic profile of the patient, discussion of that sign and symptom, clinical and laboratory investigation, then drugs, drug related problem, pharmacoeconomics. This is based upon the objectives that I have while writing the protocol. I have written a multiple objectives. So the point of discussion which I have made, or the serial number 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 I have made, that was based upon the objective which I have mentioned in my protocol. There I have mentioned that in my study, the primary objectives are so and so, and secondary objective were so and so. So this will be written against that, what we have given in the protocol. And this is the list of figure. You can see that all are in italic and how I have made. So if I click on any figure, for example, this is the scattered plot matrix of age of the patient, height of the patient, and weight of the patient suffering from diabetes mellitus and hypertension. I will directly switch to that particular figure. So hyperlinks has been added. So how to add these hyperlinks and how to write your whole thesis in single word file, that I'm going to let you know in the last class. The main thing is that you don't have to make a separate chapter. All these the facility of getting this, for example, list of figure automatically with the help of MS Office Word, and list of tables which are there in your thesis. This will be made by the software if you have made your whole thesis in a single word file. Then only you can generate. Otherwise, if you have a separate file for your introduction, separate file for your review of literature, separate file for objective, separate file for methodology, and separate file for results, then you cannot make list of content, list of table, list of figure automatically with the help of software. All the things should be written, all the chapter in a single word file. So you can see that why I have used a hyperlinks, because the number of table which was there in my thesis was more than 200. Might be you are able to see that 213 table was there in the thesis. And what was the name of each table that has been mentioned here and where it lies for. Now, why we want to do the automatic numbering and automatic numbering of even table and the figures. For example, I have written a thesis and I have given my thesis to my supervisor for correction, and our multiple tables are there, more than 213, and my supervisor does not like to show the results of this. For example, Leibniz test of equality of variance. He said that, okay, we don't want to add this particular table in our thesis, delete this one. So what we have to do, if we have done it manually, then we have to arrange the table number inside the thesis, and wherever we have cite our tables in the result, there we have to change the numbering manually. If you have used the hyperlinks, so what you have to do, just you have to delete that particular table and delete the hyperlinks of that particular table, remaining all the citation wherever you have written table number 1, 2, 3, 4, that is going to be adjusted by the MS Office itself. What it means, I will show you. For example, here you can see that I have written about risk of hypertension, clear, and I have made a this picture, and the name of the figure is risk factor of hypertension, and numbering was given 2.4. And as I will select this one, you can see this 2 and 4 will be given little bit in darker color. What it means? It means we have a hyperlink here, and you can see that same thing has been cited in the text, that so and so are given and shown in figure 2.4. So when I will choose this one, you can see this figure 2.4 is shown in darker color. It means we have a hyperlink here. So if my guide will ask me to delete this table, so what I have to do, so any table which I have added previously, so all for those all manually I have to change the numbering. So if hyperlinks are there, so you don't have to do anything, just delete the table, delete the figure 2.4, and figure 2.5 will become 2.4 automatically, and everything will be arranged accordingly, so you don't have to bother, because for each and every thing which you have written, for example, we have this figure 2.5, so we have to cite in the text. So this we used to call citation of figure and citation of text while writing the thesis. Now I'll show you that where we have a data of beta and how we used to write, which I was discussing. Where I have applied, I have to find. Yes, this is the writing style of one-way ANOVA, and you can see that how I have written the mean and SD in this format. I'll show you that where the this is the writing style, that F is equal to degree of freedom first, degree of freedom second, the value of F is 4.33, and the p value which should be written in italic. Now I'll show about beta, where we have written might be here, I have not, might be in pharmacoeconomics analysis I have applied. Yeah, see, physical activity is the same example which I was giving to you, but it has been compared with a type of oil which patient were consuming. Yeah, see, like this table you can add that SPSS code which you have entered in your project, that you can add the first table which we have received in the linear regression. The same table has been added in the thesis, and here you can mention that code 1 was given, and code 1 belongs to what. So for example, physical activity I have taken, but here instead of calorie intake I have taken a variable called cooking oil. Cooking oil consumed by the patient in their daily routine. So if codes were more, then it is difficult to remember that which code has been mentioned. For example, code 1 is soybean oil, code 2 is corn oil, code 3 is mustard oil, code 4 is olive oil. So what I was comparing, that out of these oil, which one is best for the diabetic patients or for hypertensive patient, along with that how much physical activity they were doing. So same variable I have taken low, moderate, and high physical activity, and you can see the result has been written. I was comparing the cost of treatment and the length of stay, that if person are doing a low physical activity, then length of stay will be more or higher when they will admitted in the hospital. And obviously if length of stay is higher, the cost is going to increase. So it's a pharmacoeconomic analysis. of what type of cooking oil used by the patient and the physical activity. So might be, yes, you can see here both variable you can club together. That I was in this particular test, I was having a two dependent variable. One was length of stay, and second one was cost of the treatment was second variable. But the test which I have shown you, linear regression through GLM, I was having only one dependent variable, that was systolic blood pressure. So we have got only one table. If you're going to have a more than one dependent variable, so what you can do, you are going to get a data of one table separately. But when you bring the data from SPSS to MS Office for in your thesis, then all these things, that type of variable and physical activity, will remain same. What you have to do, this mean standard deviation and n of second table you can bring into the same table. So first, what I have got this much in table number 1, and in second table I have got what, I have got these two along with data of cost. So what I did, instead of giving two different tables, I have given a single table. What I did, I have added a three more columns on this side, because type of cooking oil and physical activity were the same in both the cases, when I was comparing length of stay and when I was comparing overall cost. So single table will be made for both the variables. In SPSS you are going to get a 2, and it does not matter in while writing the thesis if your tables is going to second page. In most of the cases, what we used to do, we'll try to keep our table in a single page only. But if not, then it will go to second page. We are not bothered that much, but we'll try to see this thing, that table looks better in landscape or table looks better in vertical order. So according to that, we can choose the layout. So what I was showing, the value of beta, how it will be written. And see here, whenever you will apply a test, you are going to, sorry, you are going to get a data like this. Codes will be written by the software. So it is very difficult to find out that which oil belongs to what. For example, if I was not having a table which is given on the top, that oil 5 decreases, the value is minus 2.25, that is the number of days, that was length of stay. That if you're taking a, see, category 9 was the last category, so it was found as a standard. So with the category 9 or the oil 9, I was comparing all the 8 different categories, and I can find out there is a lots of difference. That if I'm taking type of oil 9 and I will switch to type of, type of oil 3, it is going to reduce 4 days. That means 4 days less I have to get admitted in the hospital. Or if I'll switch to oil, this one 4, I have to stay 5 days less as compared to the oil which was 9. We will try to find out that which was the oil 3, 4 and 9. It will be given on the coding here. So 3 oil was, see, 9 oil was rice bran oil. So if I'm taking a rice bran oil, I have to be in the hospital 4 days if I'm switching to mustard oil, and best oil was found to be olive oil. So rice bran oil as compared to olive oil, there is a difference of 5 days, and when we are talking about length of stay in the hospital. So data of beta is written like this. I'll show you. Might be somewhere I have written. If here not, then in the next paragraph. Yes. uh, Let me check. See, this is the value for beta for cost, that if I am taking code number 9 oil, that is rice bran, and if I'll switch to oil number 4, I have to spend more. That means data was found in positive, so this is the this much USD I have to spend more. So see here, this is the way how we have to write these two lines. I can read it out so that it will be easy for you to see that what it means. You have to write in such a way: the parameter estimate data of dependent variable overall cost of the treatment revealed that moderate physical activity result in lower the overall cost of the treatment suggested by beta of this much. Now it means what? That if you are doing a high physical activity, and from the high if we'll switch to moderate, then cost is going to reduce 503 USD INR, and along with that I have written the USD also. So in that case, what you have to do, whenever you are writing the methodology, that time only you have to write on what day you did the calculation, and that day how much one INR is equivalent to USD. So that calculation you have to write at the beginning while writing the methodology. So according to that calculation has been done, then one INR is representing to how much of USD. So this is the sign, the which sign you have to add, and like this you can compare. And if you will, you can see that second category, if you're doing a high physical activity and you will do low physical activity, so how much it is going to decrease the cost? It is going to decrease the cost 752 rupees, which is equivalent to 10 USD as compared to high physical activity. So this is the writing style of parameter estimate, and this, like this graph you are going to get, which will let you know the comparison of independent variable and the cost. If you click on the plot, you are going to get this tables, this graphs. Here you can see that how I've written. Every category has been summarized. That each category you have to compare with everything. If 9 categories are there, so at least 4 or 5 you can discuss while writing the text. So I will let you know that where the test started and how much we have to write about each test. This is page number 142, and here you can see all these are the results of this particular model. Yes, from here I have written page number 134. Around 12 pages are there for writing the results of one model. So what the model means, the example which I have shown you in yeah, and it was a electricity problem. I was disconnected due to power shutdown. I have switched to hotspot so that it's visible. Yes. So what I was discussing, that 14 or 15 pages are required to write the results of any particular test, linear regression. So what I did, what the model we used to call as, in linear regression, we have made a model. For example, we were comparing the effect of physical activity, and the calorie intake with systolic blood pressure.
So your mic is not on.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I was disconnected due to electricity shutdown. I was not able to aware that I was showing the screen to you or not. So let me share my screen. Share my screen. I was near to finish. Just wait. Yes. So what I was saying that we have to discuss about the models, that no need to add a data of whole of your thesis in a single research paper. We have to find out that how many models we were having in a project, and you can find out like in PhD thesis you are going to find around 25 to 30 models, and if you're writing a master's thesis you are going to find 7 to 8 models in a master's thesis. So one research paper is equivalent to one model or maximum two. You're not going to add more than two different models or more than two models in a single research paper. Might be, I think I have shown you one slide in the day one or day two where one paper was published. I will let you know if my internet is working. Just see. This is the example which I want to show. Okay, yeah, you can see the content I was discussing right now with you. This is the publication which I have made from that particular data, that economic cost of hospitalization and length of stay in diabetes and coexisting hypertension with relation to laboratory investigations. So that was the another paper. I should look for another one. Cooking oil. Yeah, this one is the one. Other one. Yeah, this was also published in. This is the research square document. But if you'll find in clinical research cooking oil, you are going to find. Yes, this is the document. Yes, this was published in Ville, International Journal of Clinical Practice, and this year only I have published in March 2021, and the name of the journal is International Journal of Clinical Practice. It was online ahead to print. Now you can see what data I have added: physical activity and cooking oil. So one variable, independent variable was physical activity. Second independent variable was cooking oil amongst diabetes and coexisting hypertensive patient. That was the population whose data I have taken against what? Economic cost and length of stay. So these two were the dependent variable in our study. Then I have added how many number of patient was there and what type of study we did. So two independent variable and two dependent variable. So from only one model, I have received one research paper. So whenever you have a 10 or 15 models in your study, so it is will be expected that, if we will work seriously, then we are going to get a number of paper equivalent to the number of model we have in our study. So same data was used for the another research paper. That means data of economic cost and length of stay, which I have added in this paper, the same data has been added in the another paper, but variable has been changed. Here I have compared with what? Physical activity and cooking oil. Clear? And in second paper, data was same, cost and length of stay, but with other laboratory investigations. What was that? I have compared with systolic blood pressure, I have compared with diastolic blood pressure, I have compared with fasting blood sugar, random blood sugar, and HbA1c. So five different variables were there, those who are representing to this population. For hypertension, I have taken two tests, systolic blood pressure and diastolic. And for diabetes, I have taken three tests, fasting blood sugar, random blood sugar, and HbA1c. So 5 independent variable against 2 dependent variable, that was cost and length of stay. So data of cost and length of stay was similar in both. So you can see how to switch from one model to another model and how you can compare. If you talk about in these two different paper which was published in same journal, one, even the journal was same, that International Journal of Clinical Practice. One paper I have published in March 2021 and second I have published in May 2021. Both are published in a same year, just difference of 2 or 3 months, same journal. And this, and you can see that this is the second paper which I am finding. Here you can find out length of stay and cost of hospitalization with laboratory investigation. And second paper you are going to find here, that is cooking oil and physical activity. So that is the one thing. So what I have seen that in my PhD work, I have come across from, I think I published around 16 or 17 different research paper along with few case reports. Or still I have a data that much. I have a SPSS sheet. If I want to compare anything from that sheet, I can apply the test, and from the data I can execute multiple things more. I can, for example, you might be, you have seen the sheet that how many variables are there, and you can find that more than 105 variables are there. So might be all of them I have not compared with each one of them. So whatever the study objective was there, according to that I have applied few statistical tests which are needed to fulfill my objective. Those data I have generated and I have published the research paper. If I want, I can compare more variable. For example, instead of keeping the laboratory investigation, I have not compared with any lipid profile, I have not compared with serum creatinine, I have not compared with any uh, thing, because I have a data of dialysis also, I have a data of blood profile also. So all these things I can compare still with cost and the length of stay. It is the researcher own hypothesis that how he's going to represent his or her data. So according to that you can proceed and make sure that writing style should be unique, that how you're writing. No need to just writing the descriptive statistics and just binding up the results. Whenever you're writing, write precisely, give time. First write each and everything about the description, that descriptive statistics how it was mentioned, because you don't have to work 2 times while writing your thesis separately and while making your research paper separately. Whenever you're writing your thesis, make sure the same data you're going to take for the research paper. So for example, if I want to generate another research paper for my thesis, so what I'll do, I'll not write again. I'll just choose few paragraphs or few lines from the each paragraph. For example, from this paragraph, if I want to see that type of data which I want to add in the research paper, so what I'll do, I'll see that which is more important. So that particular paragraph I'm going to take from this thesis for the research paper. And while writing the result, I'll not take everything, because I'll take this, that the result of the test were found significant or not significant, and this study confirms what. So instead of taking everything, I'll take this, that where the data was mentioned mean and ST, and where test results has been quoted. So no need to write mean and SD of everything which I have written in this particular table. I'll just directly go to the final results, that these are the final results. I think, yeah, this one. The result of dependent variable length of stay was found significant. This is the ANOVA writing style. So these lines I'm going to take, or I'll discuss about Leibniz also. And as I have already discussed that for my PhD thesis, the standard was different. I have used 0.03 as a cutoff point for my study, 97% as a confidence interval. So for all the p-value for standard which I am discussing in the presentation and which I am showing in the thesis is different. In thesis you are going to find 0.03, and in the presentation where we used to discuss, that will be 0.05. So all graphs, all the content which you have added here, see the whole SPSS table which was made by the software, I have taken and I have added in the thesis. And if I want to publish research paper, I'll not add this table obviously. So what I'll add the text content which is written against this table in my thesis. So that will be this one. Okay, whatever the content we have found in this table, that has been represented in paragraph. So from here I'm going to choose that instead of adding this table, which are those line or 2-3 lines which I can add in the research paper. So what will be, it will be here, this one, where p-value has been mentioned and where I have quoted that either results are significant or not significant. And make sure one more thing which I forgot to remember, whenever you are discussing model, so that time first write the hypothesis. Without hypothesis is something, it is like this, that you don't have the target and you are not able to uh, decide anything. So whenever you are making a model, so try to write the what you are expecting with the result, that by quoting the results of previous study, that so and so or this person have conducted a study and they have found that A is causing B. So we, in our study, we are trying to evaluate either the really A is causing B or not by taking so and so parameters. So make sure that you should write or discuss about the hypothesis of your research by comparing the other person's study, and make sure to cite the work. For example, you might be, you're going to see or not, if you do like this, you're going to find, yeah, whenever I will select all, you're going to see that this figure 5.44 and this uh, reference Fock and KHOO, somehow it is will be given in darker color, because the reference which I have added in my thesis is through software called Mendeley. So these are the citations which you are finding in darker color. And if I'll make, for example, like this, then you can find out that this IDF Diabetes Atlas 9th edition 2019 is the reference. So I have not written the reference myself, that was done by the software called Mendeley itself only. So even what I have decided, that I should show the content of introduction, that whenever you're writing introduction, what are the things you should include. Here you can see that what I have added. Make sure you should add the background of your work, that the topic which you have chosen, that what was the background of that work. Make sure what's the need of your project, that need of the background of the study, need of the study should be added. Then is, if it is there is a classification of something, then you should add the classification of that. So that is the only classification which you're seeing right now. So once classification is over, if you're working on that particular disease, so write the definition and classification of those particular disease by quoting a reference. So see, wherever you're seeing a black color, these all are references which has been added. So see how many references has been added after each paragraph, or wherever I have got a full stop, there a particular reference has been added. So make sure references will be there. Then any type of classic, for example, I'm working on diabetes, so classification of diabetes given by ADA has been added. Then as per ADA, diabetes is classified into two types, type 1, then we'll discuss type 2, then symptoms. So see, these are not that much important. Obviously about the disease you are going to write, this was the second disease, so about the disease you have written, yeah, research gap, that what other have contributed in that particular field and what is the remaining. So this you can find out with the literature. That means you have to go back, you have to decide that from how long you have to go back. 10 years back data you need to gather, or you have to gather the data of 15 years or 20 years. Your supervisor is going to assist you that okay, start finding the research paper from 2001 or 2015 or 2005. From there you can start finding that what other have contributed in that particular field. So once you have a notes, and you will try to find out okay, this thing has been carried out, then you will find the answer for the research gap. So these are the points which should or must be included in the introduction. Either it is your research paper or either it is your thesis. Rationale and purpose of your study. Objectives are different. Objectives are those which you have chosen as per the need of your work. Purpose of the study is different. So do not write the same thing under objective of the study and purpose of the study. Both are different thing. So once you write the purpose, we have a one more term called variable used in the study. So might be most of the person I have not seen in the research paper or in the any thesis, but I like to write in my thesis. For example, I have directly written that how many variable I have made in my SPSS sheet, and what was the name of those variable. I have mentioned in the introduction section that I have taken what I have taken a these age, gender, mental status, weight, body mass index, BMI, income status, occupation, then cooking oil, then random blood sugar, then admission date, for date of admission, date of discharge, systolic blood pressure, lipid profile, all the lipid parameters, then all the parameter associated with liver, then all the parameter associated with kidney. Then if pharmacoeconomics parameters are there, then how many were there. If I have taken 9 or 10, all things I have discussed. Then here you can see the cost is recorded in INR, and then the data is converted into 1 USD equivalent to 73.35 rupees. And make sure that do not write rupees. Icons are available and you are going to find on the internet. So make sure, because it should be looks professional, so make sure you should add the icon whenever it is necessary. See, I have added a icon of rupees given by the Indian government and icon of the USD. Even most of the candidates are doing a mistake of writing this USD. For USD, it's a single line on this dollar sign S. And if it is a Canadian dollar, then two lines are there. So make sure that which one you are adding this line whenever you are this sign which you are seeing right now. So once you will write about the variable, then write about hypothesis testing and statistical analysis, that which is the writing style which you are writing to write your hypothesis. I have used that only two writing style, null hypothesis and alternative. For both I have used. And how you are going to do the statistical analysis, directly write here that which parametric test will be applied, what was the decision rule, that how you have decided that you will go for parametric and you'll go for not parametric. Directly write that you have chosen based upon the test for normality. And what is the confidence interval of the study? Confidence interval of the study is 97%, and cutoff point and p value will be 0.03. If it is less than 0.03, you will assume that null hypothesis is rejected. So like this you follow by giving the reference. Along with this, references has been added. And one more thing, Always cite your work, the paper which you have already published. Try to cite your work in your thesis or in your research paper. How it is going to help you? It will increase the citation, obviously. And you can see these are the Joshi et al 2018, then two research paper other, Sharma and Baldi 2017. Yeah, one more thing you can see here. Other way I will never used to get example like this. Once I got, so I'll discuss. Two paper has been published in a same journal. Author were same, journal was same, even content was different, obviously. Everything was same. So for one you can write A, and for second one you can write B. I think you are able to understood. Same journal was there, same author was there, even publication year was same. So how to cite the reference? Instead of 2017 you can write A and B. Whenever you write as 2017, write B and write A. This should be written either in normal or either you can write in the superscript. Because see, one more paper is there which is published on 2018, Sharma and Kaur 2018, that is different, and Sharma and Baldi, that is different 2018. So here both author are different. I am the one who is common, but this Baldi and Kaur was the different. So no need. Both are published in 2018. But here you can see in this example, these two, that two different publication published in a same year, same author, same journal. So how to cite? Then A or B you can add like this, 2017 and A and B. Remaining what we can add? Yeah, this thing was there in the introduction chapter. And review of literature, I have chosen a MLA style. What I did, whole review of literature was divided into two sections. What it means, section 1 was the literature about the work which is not the scientific part, which is, for example, what was the drug utilization study, type of diabetes, symptom of diabetes, what was the current treatment of diabetes recommended by WHO or any other agency. That was added in the first part of review of literature. Second part, review of literature, was the study conducted by other person. Might be you're able to see in that. Here you can see that part 1, history, definition and background of the topic which was the main topic of my research, that drug utilization study. So everything has been added in this one, first part of review of literature. We have a introduction of drug utilization research in my chapter called introduction also, but not that much vast. I have just given the definition of DUE, that what DUR means, that drug utilization evaluation or drug utilization research means, how it can be carried out, what are the different method, who has conducted earlier, when it was started. Everything has been added in the second chapter called review of literature. Introduction we don't have to do. Now writing style of APA and MLA has been changed. Whatever the thing we used to write in the introduction, now those things we are writing in the chapter called review of literature part A. And part B of review of literature contains the study conducted by other person, which we used to write in this way. I will let you know this like this, that we are quoting the name of the author, and then we are writing that has performed a systemic review or has conducted a study on so and so, has made a formulation of so and so, like this. So this, by quoting the name of the author and the year and what they did in one paragraph, this we were writing in review of literature. Now trend has been changed in whole over the world. Whatever we used to write previous days, in the introduction part, that should come in the review of literature. For example, I'm working on diabetes. So I'm just going to add the definition of diabetes in introduction section, in introduction chapter of my thesis. What was the classification of diabetes, type of diabetes, test for diabetes, current treatment of diabetes. All these things will come in the review of literature part 1. So what are the things which we are going to add in introduction chapter? Introduction chapter will be the introduction of your thesis. It will not be the introduction of the topic. And most of theses you are going to find where in introduction section of their thesis, they have written the introduction of that particular topic or that particular disease. So that's not the way. Introduction of your thesis will be the introduction of your thesis only, not the introduction of your topic. You should write that why you have chosen the topic, what will be the research gap, what are the variables which you have taken for your study. In your project, all these things should be mentioned in the introduction chapter. About the topic, everything you should add in part 1 of review of literature, and part 2 will be this one, where you are going to quote the work of other researchers, that what other have contributed in the same field. That is going to start like this. 2.5 part 2, review of literature part 2 aims to present information, hypotheses and research question addressed in previous drug utilization research or previous drug utilization studies. So this is the common mistake what students are doing. Whenever they are writing a introduction, it means the introduction of the topic which they have chosen for their research. So it should not be. So what you are going to write, you are going to write the introduction of your work, that what you are going to contribute in that particular topic, what you are going to write in your thesis. That in simple terms, that if any person who want to find out that what are there in your thesis, so he should refer the introduction chapter of your thesis. So after reading that introduction chapter, he should able to understand that what he is going to find in the results, what he is going to find in the conclusion, what he is going to find in the discussion chapter. So that introduction should be the introduction of your work, not the introduction of the topic which you have selected for your research. So I think this is all for today's, and obviously recordings I have to send for few last days, 8, 9 or 10. So I'll see. Still I have not got it. I have asked the IT cell to send me. Actually we have a conference which is going to start from tomorrow at that international conference in my college. So most probably today I'm going to get, and as I will get, I'm going to send you guys, no issue. So this is for today's. Take care. Going to meet you tomorrow, and I'll take that ANOVA and ANCOVA. So 4 statistical tests are remaining: ANOVA, ANCOVA, MANOVA, and MANCOVA. So as I'll finish 4, then I'll come to study design and hypothesis and error in research. After that, we will have a test, and after that, we are going to end up with the sessions. I think today is the 11th day. So within next 4 days, I'm going to finish all 4 statistical tests which are remaining. After that, we will have a test, then certification will be done. So meanwhile, take care. I'm going to log off. I'll switch off the recording.